The movie begins with Captain Sam, a soldier who must leave his wife and two daughters, Grace, Izzy, and Maggie, to serve in Afghanistan. Before his deployment, he writes a farewell letter to his wife, just in case he doesn't return, and leaves it with Major Kavos. Sam makes a point to return home to say goodbye to his family. Meanwhile, his brother Tommy has just been released from prison after serving time for a bank robbery. Though they are very different, Sam cares deeply for Tommy. After being picked up by Sam, they have dinner with their father Hank and stepmother Elsie. Grace harbors resentment towards Tommy, and Hank openly disapproves of his youngest son's past behavior. The dinner is meant to welcome Tommy back and wish Sam well before his mission. However, Tommy's habits from prison lead him to make thoughtless comments, creating tension at the table. Following the argument, Tommy returns to his home and prays for Sam's safe return. The story fast forwards to October 12th, when Sam and his unit arrive in Afghanistan. They travel via helicopter, but soon after, a military representative visits Grace to deliver the devastating news of Sam's death. Overwhelmed with grief, Grace can only cry. Later that evening, a drunk Tommy returns Grace's car, and she informs him of Sam's passing. The next day, they attend Sam's funeral, where Major Kavos gives Grace the farewell letter Sam wrote. Meanwhile, tensions flare again when Hank refuses to let Tommy drive the family car and instead insists he find a job. The argument escalates with Hank blaming Tommy for his mother's death. On the other side of the world, Sam and a fellow soldier, Joe, survive a helicopter crash, but find themselves held captive by Afghan terrorists. Back home, Grace receives a call from Tommy, who asks her for money to cover his bar tab. Frustrated, Grace confronts him about his lack of understanding regarding their family's situation. The following morning, Maggie wakes Tommy and prepares pancakes for Grace. Hank arrives, and they apologize for their earlier argument. Hank reveals that Tommy is actually talented but has wasted his potential. As they reminisce about Sam, Tommy tries to make amends by asking an old friend to fix Grace's kitchen. Although Grace is initially upset that Tommy didn't ask for permission first, she eventually agrees to the repairs. 2 months later, Sam and Joe are still held captive, receiving minimal food. Sam warns Joe not to divulge any information about their families. When they are brought before the terrorists, they are forced to record a message for the American government. When they refuse, they are tortured. Under extreme duress, Joe ultimately succumbs and sends a message stating that the Americans have no right to interfere in Afghanistan. Meanwhile, back home, Tommy attempts to help Grace by painting a room in her house. An accident occurs when Maggie spills paint on one of Tommy's friends, leading Grace to seek comfort in Sam's belongings, which triggers her emotions about his absence. As time passes, Tommy and Grace's relationship begins to improve, highlighted by a moment where they share a kiss. However, feeling guilty about the situation, Grace quickly pulls away, realizing it was a mistake. Back in Afghanistan, Sam endures brutal torture, including having a hot iron pressed into his leg for refusing to comply with the terrorists' demands. The situation escalates when the terrorists order Sam to kill Joe, whom they deem a burden. In a moment of desperation and anguish, Sam ultimately kills Joe, which devastates him. Eventually, American soldiers locate the terrorist base, leading to a confrontation that results in the death of the terrorist leader and the rescue of Sam. Upon returning home, Tommy tries to mend his relationship with Grace and his nephews, and he begins to fix things around the house. However, the joy is short-lived when Grace receives a phone call revealing that Sam has been found alive. When Sam returns, he is initially overwhelmed but soon becomes distant and troubled, struggling with the trauma of his experiences. He has difficulty connecting with his family, and his behavior grows increasingly erratic. Grace becomes concerned and seeks help, leading to Tommy and Hank intervening. In a tense confrontation, Sam brandishes a gun, prompting police involvement. Ultimately, Sam is taken to a mental health facility, where Grace discovers the letter Sam wrote, expressing his love for her and their children. During a visit, Sam confesses to Grace that he killed Joe, revealing the depth of his trauma and guilt. The film concludes with Sam questioning whether he can return to his former life and find happiness with his family again, leaving viewers to reflect on the lasting impacts of war and the path toward healing. This poignant narrative explores themes of family bonds, trauma, loss, and the struggles of reintegration after the horrors of war, offering a powerful commentary on the human experience. What are your thoughts on the film's portrayal of these themes?